welcome to another video. This is the series in an actual wedding we're going to be doing this weekend. Today I'm going to show you how I'm going to make the bridal bouquet. Now when I make a bridal bouquet, I want to make sure I have the most choice stems of flowers we're using picked out for the bridal bouquet. So we have the best roses, the best ranunculus, the best spray roses, and what I do is what I call like a mise en place, like in cooking, where I have all the leaves stripped off the roses. I pull off any bruised petals, especially in these light color roses. Make sure everything is beautiful. If the roses need to be a little bit more open, I'll blow on it, get them open a little bit. So everything's laid out in front of me and ready to go. Because when you're doing a hand-tied bouquet, your one hand's going to be holding the bouquet, so you only have one other hand. So it's going to be very difficult if you don't have your materials all laid out and ready for you to use. So let's get started. Today we're going to be using 2 roses, white Playa Blanca roses, and a pale blush rose called Pink O'Hara. Alongside of these roses, we're also using a beautiful pale blush, almost translucent ranunculus, some spray roses, Dusty Miller is our foliage, as well as some miniature sort of silvery green eucalyptus. What I usually do is I'll pick a few stems of Dusty Miller sort of for the center of the bouquet. The Dusty Miller almost acts like a spacer for your roses. It helps you space your roses out so that they're not all clustered together. I mean, it's going to be a clustered bouquet, but we don't want it to be too clustered. So what we're going to do is create the center of the bouquet right now. I'm going to add the roses in among the Dusty Miller. And that texture is really beautiful, the Dusty Miller, and the silvery foliage is gorgeous with this icy pink and white. I'm also going to add in some ranunculus. Fragile flowers like ranunculus with fragile stems, we like to add in the middle of the bouquet because the perimeter bouquet, they could be damaged and you don't want a stem to break in the middle of the ceremony. Now the bridal bouquet, of course, is the most important arrangement in a wedding because if the bride loves her bouquet, everything else is great, right? Okay, so we just keep adding in. You just kind of take a look to see what it looks like. So this is your center of your bouquet. We kind of turn around. You should be adding materials in a spiral fashion. I'm not a stickler for it being a perfect spiral. Now I had an instructor who was so skilled at making these hand-tied bouquets that he can make these bouquets, and after he's done, he cut the stems and the bouquet would actually stand on a counter without a vase because everything's so balanced and the stems are all perfectly put in. I'm not that skilled and I don't think it's necessary. Plus, when you have a lot of different types of materials, different kinds of stems, it's very hard to get it that balanced. And so I'm just gonna, add in Dusty Miller as I see fit, as I think that it needs a little spacer. So I'm just turning the bouquet and then just adding different elements. And I take a look at how many stems of ranunculus I have left, and I want to make sure I add them all in before we get to the very edge of the bouquet. Because the edge of the bouquet, once again, sometimes the bride will be putting it down, during photos and things like that. So we want to make sure that we have sturdy roses and greenery at the edge, not the delicate ranunculus. And then you can pull your stems up a little bit if some of them, have scrunched down a little as you're adding it in, if that makes sense. Okay. Pink ranunculus is so beautiful, that texture with all these petals, almost like a little peony. Okay. When I do wedding bouquets like this, I wish I had a big man hands. It's very hard to hold these big stems, especially these Ecuadorian roses with the pretty thick stems. So the bouquet handle gets very big and my hands are very small. I wish I had big man hands so I can hold on to this better. Sometimes you could tie it off before you're done. We're almost done with the main ingredients of our bouquet. I want to take a look, make sure it's nice and round and pretty evenly spaced. We still have spray roses and eucalyptus to help us round it out. One more ranunculus. Where should I add this? Don't want to add it to the edge too much. How about over here? Add another ranunculus over here. Here we go. Okay. Then I'm going to add some more Dusty Miller for the edge of the bouquet. Okay. And then I have some of these really pretty little spray roses with the little buds. I'm going to have to add a little bit of this in here just for textural interest. It's getting harder to turn because it's getting too big for me to hold. Okay, always look to see how it's looking. Okay. Add some spray roses to the edge. Add a little bit more. What I usually do is when I go to the market and bring all the flowers home, if the bridal bouquet is a lot like the rest of the wedding, I will choose some of the best stems of flowers before I do the centerpieces or other arrangements and reserve it for a bridal bouquet. So I'll have a couple of buckets reserved just for the bridal bouquet. Some of the best looking, most beautiful stems. I mean, they're all beautiful, but there's always going to be some stems that are just a little more beautiful than others. It's very subjective, but I just want to make sure the bouquet is like the most spectacular arrangement of all. Okay. I think we are almost done adding in the floral materials. Now I'm going to add in some of this miniature eucalyptus. This is beautiful. It kind of gives you a little bit of movement on the edges of the bouquet. Now, we've done a lot of weddings recently that had a lot of greenery. This bride wants a bouquet that's just has a little greenery around the perimeter, nothing too crazy, still mostly a lush clustered bouquet without too much greenery poking out, but a little bit of the silvery gray greenery that I think is very, very beautiful with the color palette we've chosen. Okay. Almost done. Okay, take a look, see if we need anywhere else. And just because I have all these stems prepped doesn't mean we have to use every single stem. Okay, I think over here we might need a little bit of eucalyptus just to round it out. Okay, and we're done. Now there are a lot of different ways to tie off your bouquet. Some people use bind wire. My preferred method is to use this wide width of floral tape. Floral tape is a tape, paper tape that's waxed. Now the wax is sticky, not very sticky, but sticky enough to stick to itself. And I don't know, I just got used to doing it this way. I like it better than wire. I think it holds better than wire. And then we're just going to tie it off. It's easier on the hands than wire also. Now if you're making the bouquet a day ahead, what I would do is I would just keep it with the wire and not add ribbon to it, not wrap the bouquet with ribbon, and then keep this in a vase and put it in the floral fridge. That's what we usually do. And the day of the wedding, we'll take this out right before we deliver and wrap it with ribbon so you don't see the tape. And you use the ribbon that coordinates with your bride's dress. Either off-white or antique white or ivory or white. There's so many different kind of whites. Diamond white. Sort of like lipstick colors, right? So we done with the bouquet, and we'll just cut any of the straggly longer stems off. And normally what I do, I would stop right here, put in a vase, put it in the refrigerator, and finish off the stems tomorrow when I do delivery. But I do want to show you how to wrap a bridal bouquet with ribbon, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap it with ribbon for you. So we've chosen a slightly off-white white, kind of a natural white ribbon. And what I do is I start from the top, just kind of hold it, and go all the way down. Spiral it down. I had an assistant who told me that this is a lot like wrapping a tennis racket. So wrap it all the way down. Now a lot of my clients like a natural stem bouquet, and it just kind of depends the floral materials you're using. We're using so many different elements, so many different lengths of ribbon, lengths of stems, that a messy stem I think looks terrible on a bouquet. So I'm going to wrap this all the way to the end and not have any natural stems showing. I don't actually recommend natural stems because in photos, brides may smush the stem of the bouquet against their dress, and you certainly don't want a dark green stain down the front of your wedding dress, right? Okay. And we get to the end, you spiral it back up. You double up on the ribbon so none of that green shows through. And then you cut off the ribbon. You fold the raw edge in, and then what I do is I use these short pearl pins. These are pearl pins that are short. You see the pointy part, the needle-y part is very short, like 1/2 inch, so that you can go into the bouquet. It won't poke your bride, and it will keep the ribbon in place. Now the two on top should do it, but what I do is I put pearl pins all the way down the length of the bouquet. It makes that way you're sure that the ribbon won't unravel. And it's pretty. It's almost like little pearl buttons down the front of the bouquet. And there you have it, a beautiful neutral palette bridal bouquet with pale blush and white roses, pale pink ranunculus, Dusty Miller, and miniature eucalyptus. And it coordinates with the rest of the wedding I've been showing you in this series of videos. I will be back with another video showing you how to make personal flowers. Thank you for coming and just joining me for this wedding. Please like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next video.